So, thank you for joining us today for our mindful moment experience. We're going to be thinking about grounding ourselves when we're experiencing stress and trauma, anxiety, and how we can develop some tools to help us when we find ourselves in that situation. There's a lot of research, current research, about the idea that we hold stress, we hold trauma physically in our bodies on a cellular level, even. So we hold it in our hearts, we hold it in our minds, and we hold it physically, which makes it difficult to kind of break away from it, to process it. So finding tools that allow us to kind of cut that thought process can be very beneficial for us. So let's focus today on building a toolbox that we can rely on when we find ourselves in those situations and we're not quite sure how to break out of it. You can recall today's conversation, hopefully, or refer back to today's conversation at some point and tap into some of these tools we're going to talk about. But before we start talking about the tools, let's just settle ourselves in to wherever we are and get comfortable. So if you're in a chair, maybe you can find yourself feeling really supported by the back of that chair. Maybe you bring a pillow to rest on. Maybe your feet are both on the floor and you're feeling supported there. Or maybe you've decided you want to lay down. Maybe that's better for you today. Wherever you are, just try and allow yourself to relax, dropping those shoulders down, finding a way to be in the space where you are. Maybe just focusing on my voice can help you with that. We're going to do one breathing technique, which is part of our toolbox. It's called the 4-5-6 breath. So that breath allows us or asks us to inhale for 4, hold it for 5, and exhale for 6. So a longer exhale than your inhale shows that it helps us to find calm, slows our heart rate down, those things that are a result of, trauma that we may experience or stresses. So inhale on my count. Inhale for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Hold it for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Exhale for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Just notice how you feel. No judgment, just noticing. Observe to see if you're holding any stress anywhere. Notice the back of your neck, your shoulders. Notice your belly. Does it feel anxious? Try and let that go. We aren't always aware of the impact of trauma, but we may notice that we're feeling tense or angry. Maybe we're a little short-tempered. Maybe we feel sad, or maybe some other emotions that you're not quite sure where it came from. These may be the result of trauma. You may feel stress and anxiety and not really understand what that's about. And if you continue to feel that way over a period of time, you might kind of think about why you're feeling these ways. And sometimes it's a result of a traumatic experience you may have had. So let's talk about the tool belt. Let's figure out ways that we can help kind of break that cycle. First, focused breathing can help you shift from whatever is going on in your mind to a more present focus in the space where you're sitting or laying and in your body, in your breath. So the breath we just did was a great example of a type of breath you can do to help bring you to the present. You can count that out on your own. It's available to you anytime, anywhere that you're beginning to feel some discomfort from perhaps a past trauma. The second is focusing on an object that brings you to the present, away from the traumatic experiences of your past. You can find that object in your room, the space where you are, or you can just imagine an object that you have seen, that you know is in your house, maybe in another room, or that you've just seen somewhere along your life's journey that you love. Maybe it's the ocean. You probably won't find that in your room, unless you're lucky enough to be waterfront. Maybe I have this vase in the room I'm sitting in right now that I love the shape of, I love the colors, and it kind of just makes me happy. I don't have any flowers in it. I just like it as an architectural piece on its own. And as I look at that, it makes me forget about the other things on my to-do list for the day, the other things that might be on my mind. It could even be a pet. Maybe you have a pet nearby, and maybe that pet just takes you out of those uncomfortable feelings and allows you to feel a little bit more relaxed and a little bit of joy. Self-talk is a third possible technique for you. Talk yourself through a rough experience, and sometimes we need to do that with phrases such as, "You are safe," or "I am safe," "I am worthy," "My trauma is in the past, it can no longer harm me," "I have lots of good in my life." These words can be repeated wherever you need them, whenever you need them. Or maybe you have another favorite phrase that really settles you. Maybe you combine some. "I have lots of good in my life, my trauma is in the past. I have lots of good in my life, my trauma is in the past." You can close your eyes, you can take some nice long breaths as you repeat those phrases. It might be enough to break your current cycle of experience, the residuals of trauma. Another technique that can bring you out of your stress and your trauma and into a safe now is find an activity. It can be a walk. It could be diving into a good book. It might be watching a television show or a movie, something that has no connection to anything that feels traumatic for you. Sometimes helping others can be very cathartic. It takes you out of your own headspace and gives you the opportunity to think about other people and maybe their needs or their experiences. And maybe sharing your life with them is a great technique for you. A fifth is helpful, more helpful for some than for others, and that's writing in a journal. For others, writing can be more laborious, but if you're one of those people who finds writing to be productive and helpful, this is a great technique. The writing that you create might allow you to find patterns. It might help you find antecedents. It might help you find triggers, and it might also help you recall things that allow you to step away from the trauma. That type of a pattern is very helpful to locate and identify. This work can be very healing. And a last technique that can be a very helpful tool to allow you to disrupt the intrusion of your thoughts about trauma is to allow your senses to take over, right? So we experience our world through our through sensory input. So as you settle yourself in, right, or you continue to find yourself comfortably settled in your space, your current space, we're going to work our way through this sensory experience. So what are 5 things that you can see? I imagine you can see a lot more than 5, but identify 5 things that are in your space that you see. And now, what are 4 things that you can hear? This might be a little bit more challenging. It's pretty quiet where I am, so I might struggle with that one a little bit. I can come up with a couple things, but it's raining so hard today, even the birds are hiding out, so I can't even hear the birds chirping. 3 things you can feel, and I don't mean feel emotionally, I mean in a more tactile sense. Can you feel the support of the chair behind you? Can you feel the temperature in your space? Can you feel your clothes on your skin? What are 2 things that you can smell? If you have a wet dog in your room, that's going to be an easy one. And then finally, 1 thing you can taste. Maybe you're chewing gum, maybe you have a mint in your mouth, maybe you're not really tasting anything. And if you're not, just imagine 1 thing that you might like to take a bite of that tastes really yummy to you. What is that 1 thing that you can taste or would like to taste? So going through this 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 sensory experience puts you in the moment. It breaks the cycle of thinking about the trauma, the stress, the anxiety. There really are a lot of other techniques you can use, listening to music, watching a movie. Some of these we've already mentioned. Engaging in a hobby, needlepoint, woodworking. There's so many others. But these techniques that we've talked about today, the point of each of one of them is to bring yourself out of the trauma by focusing on the present, by focusing on something more positive, by focusing on the safe space in which you find yourself. I hope that our mindful moment today gives you an opportunity to create some tools that will work best for you in those moments when you need them most. Have a beautiful day.